Let's go to the phones instead. Joe is listening in New York. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Joe.
Hi, this is Joe from New York. I have a question for Ian.
Yes, Joe.
Why do you on occasion seem to imply that sexual contact between children and adults is acceptable?
Well, I think that people can consent to the behavior they would like to engage in.
What do you believe the age of consent to be?
I think that it's whenever you're able to make that decision for yourself.
So, in other words, according to you, say, I don't know, a 6-year-old, they could consent. They could decide to consent to sexual contact with an adult.
I think that it's really, while I might find that reprehensible personally, it's really none of my business.
So you don't think that would be a crime?
I can tell you, sir, that I engaged in sexual contact with somebody who was 16 when I was 10, and
I thought it was 11.
People would call whatever. I don't remember exactly what year it happened, but I was pretty darn young, and I was fully able to make that decision for myself. Would you call that a crime?
Absolutely, of course, it's a crime.
Why?
Children don't have the developmental ability to consent. I mean, that is just a clear, obvious fact, and it's simply disturbing that you wouldn't understand that. But I have an idea on why you might not, and that's because many abuse victims, due to the psychological trauma of the abuse, make up excuses for their abuser and basically blame themselves.
Oh, no, I don't feel like I was abused. I consented. You understand that? See, this is what's very insulting to me, that you can sit there and say, well, you were too young. You didn't know what the hell you were doing. You're 10 years old. You can't make those decisions. That was illegal what happened. That was a crime. And I'm telling you, Joe, that I absolutely knew what I was doing. I made the choice to climb out of my window at night. I made the choice to climb in his window. And I made the choice to engage in the activities I engaged in. Not him. He didn't force me into it.
He got video games out of it.
Ian, that's a totally ridiculous idea. You're fooling yourself. And
it's ridiculous that I am an individual who can make choices?
Let him finish.
Not at 11 years old. I highly suggest you see the psychiatrist, Dr. Ross. His website is rossinst.com. And if you find that challenging to believe, perhaps your co-host may want to consider what you're making the liberty movement in your own show look like in saying these utterly criminal, ridiculous
what I'm
topics.
Making the movement look like by being honest about myself and my life and my choices.
Well, wait a second, Joe. I agree.
This infuriates me, by the way.
I agree with you that this it disturbs me when he talks about stuff like this, and I've been on the show for a long time now, and I wonder to myself the same things that you've asked. Now, I would never level an accusation at him like that, but I wonder, how did his gay child prostitution affect his decision-making skills today? But I guess I have to ask some questions. So, maybe
it made me a little more open-minded toward the ability of young people to be able to make decisions for themselves.
You sound open-minded right now. But what I have to ask Joe, I have to ask you some questions. So he made some decisions, and let's call it 10 years old. He had previously said 11, so it probably spanned a period of months and maybe.
Now, here's a question I have for you guys. How many people in the Free State Movement have a similar mentality to Ian on this issue?
I would say it's probably minimal. That's my opinion. I think that most people in the Free State Project movement would be.
How would we know? Most people wouldn't talk about this.
It's just a guess. Right.
Most people are afraid to talk about it if they did feel
I'll tell you what, Joe, we'll bring it back here in a moment. Hang on if you don't mind. 800-259-9231. Because I've got some questions for Joe about what he's defining as rape. There wasn't actually any intercourse that went on in my situation. Was that rape? It's Free Talk Live. My belief system in regards to young people very young people and their ability or inability to consent to sexual activity. I say that they can. You say they can't. However, you said that you think that the free market should be able to handle it. And, of course, I agree with you on that point. I think that if people are doing things that you disagree with.
I just wanted to call up and mention this, what to me sounds like obvious fact. And I think it's something that, how could this not hurt your show? How could this not hurt the Liberty Movement?
Oh, I think that it has hurt the show. I think that this very conversation has lost us an advertiser that we had for quite some time. And I try to get Ian. We have had this conversation on and off the air that I don't want him to ever talk about this issue. But
I'll just talk about it more then.
Right, because he's a stubborn guy, and
I think it's an important issue.
He needs to see a psychiatrist. End of story.
Well,
you're a jackass.
I'm going to disagree with you there. I know Ian personally, and was that he seems, unusually well adjusted, like one of the most happiest, sort of calm, taking things in stride kind of people I know. And so I don't see any reason for him to go see a psychologist to get fixed, to get repaired.
So you don't believe that him espousing a view. You don't believe that him saying on the radio that 6-year-olds can have sex with adults, you don't think that's a reason to see a psychiatrist?
Joe, I've just talked to you, and
he's expressing something that he believes. He may be wrong about that, and like I said, it may be disturbing to me. But no, I
didn't say they should. Hold on a second, Joe. I didn't say they should have sex with adults. I said I might find that reprehensible, but it's none of my damn business. Personally, I think that young people can make decisions for themselves. But Mark, you had a question you wanted to ask,
right?
Joe.
Well, Joe, it's a continuum here, and I asked you a question.
Thank you, Joe, for the call. Appreciate hearing from you. I think people like Joe are ruining the liberty movement by their level of intolerance towards other people's sexual decisions. 800
I think it's a shocking issue, and it's very difficult for people to put to address. And I think that maybe you should consider that when you bring it up.
Toll-free number is 800-259-9231. You can bring up anything here. This is Free Talk Live.